Welcome to Extracurricular. I'm your co-host, Eddie Geller. I said my intro the right way this time. Was that okay?
You did a great job. I am your other co-host, Stephanie Vanos.
It's so good to be here. Steph, do you have any sort of title or...
I almost got it past you. I am a school board member for Orange County Public Schools. However, I am here today, as I am every day, that I'm on the podcast, unofficially.
Well, so happy to have you officially, unofficially, any way that you're willing to be here. So grateful, which almost makes it sound like I'm in some way forcing you to be here.
It does sound a little weird. Should we start over?
No, we're never starting over. Okay. We're only going with how we started the first time, and we're sticking with it. I want to welcome everyone today. Today it's just the two of us. I know folks are probably getting used to us having great guests, you know, whether it's state senators or Chris Mitchell or kids from high school. But today it's just the two of us. How do you feel about that?
I feel great.
Yeah. You're sick of talking to the other people.
No, I love talking to the other people. And actually, I really love having guests because you learn so much. You know, everyone we've had on, Anna and Carlos and Chris and Hope and Brady and Sean, you know, did I forget someone? Now I'm worried I forgot someone. But
Samuel.
And so, of course, Samuel. You know, you think you know what they're going to say, but they surprise you and you always learn something. So I really like having people on.
I love it too. But today it's just the two of us. Today we are going to be talking about kind of your first half a year, summer report card, summer check-in, progress check-in of your time as a member of the Orange County School Board. Again, you are not here officially.
No, I am not here officially.
But you are here to comment on your experience as an elected official and kind of talked about some of the things you've learned, some of the successes you've had, maybe some of the frustrations. Also, today is our first time attempting to record us on video, which I'm not literally sweating, which you would be able to see because it's on video. Or at least we're going to post portions of it on video. But it feels more stressful.
It does feel more stressful. And we might be sweating because listeners don't know this, but we actually have to turn off the air conditioning to record so that we don't have the sound in the background.
Well, we're audio professionals.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So we're not going to start doing this entire podcast over video. We're not there quite yet, but we want to start posting more video clips. As I've talked about, people love video. So we got to just adhere to what the people want. Also, subscribe to us. Rate us 5 stars. We're also on Instagram, extracurricular_podcast. And our email inbox remains open for anyone to send in their comments, questions, concerns. Podcast extracurricular. I can never say that.
I know.
First time. podcastextracurricular@gmail.com.
Okay, honestly, have you been checking it? Yes or no? No judgment.
No, I don't think you need to ask me, and I don't think that's an important question. Okay. I know that the email inbox exists. No, I have checked the email inbox. Okay. You know, there hasn't been anything I'm ready to unearth on the podcast in terms of the email inbox, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the right question, the right comment, and to bring it up.
That sounds kind of suspicious and intriguing. Nothing you're ready to unearth.
Nothing I'm ready to unearth. Are you jealous that you're not checking the email inbox more?
Not one bit. No, I am not.
Okay, well, before we get into, you know, our mid-season Stephanie Vanos, member Vanos check-in report card, just want to talk about the week. People have told us they like our banter. How does that make you feel?
I like our banter. It's fun. This is the part that I like the most. So I mean, I appreciate that other people like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes me feel like, oh, wow, someone did actually hear me go off on target like that. I don't know. Maybe that wasn't right. But it's very sweet. And I feel like the feedback has been positive. How does it make you feel? I
feel good about it. I mean, I enjoy doing banter and bits with you. So the fact that some people might find this enjoyable and entertaining is really delightful to me. So I think we should maybe we do the banter for 2 hours and then do 15 minutes of interview. What do you think about that?
I mean, who needs information these days? I think we just need to feel good. You know, just need some easy conversation.
I mean, I think our banter is information about who we are as individuals. And why would you listen to this podcast if not to really just understand who Stephanie and Eddie are?
I mean, I'm a very normal and boring person, but
Well, I
hear
think you are neither normal nor boring. But you're normal in good ways that you're normal, but I think you're extraordinary.
Oh, that's so sweet. I
Well,
think you're extraordinary.
Thank you so much. Okay, so what do you want to talk about this week? I feel like we've had like lots of interesting, fun things. We went to a birthday party last night.
Yes, birthday party for Jessica Vaughn. She is a school board member in Hillsborough County, and you know her. You know her from your days in Tampa.
That is true.
And she was one of the first people you said who to support you and endorse you when you ran.
Well, she didn't endorse me.
Oh, sorry, Jessica. I was not meaning to call you out.
No. Well, I didn't ask for her. I don't believe I asked for endorsement.
Because you don't care about school board members?
Okay, wait.
They're not important?
No, don't try and box me in. I don't know. I mean, I was in a rush of like asking a lot of people for endorsements as we were getting kind of close to the line. I may just not have asked Jessica for an endorsement. Did you endorse me in my race?
I didn't even know you, barely. I saw your video and I thought your video was pretty cool, but
thank you. Well, you could have endorsed me. You could have just like come out on your Instagram and been like, I endorse Eddie Geller for CD15. I mean, did that cross your mind?
Not really, no, honestly. Okay. But, who knows? There's always the future.
Okay, so Jessica's party was wonderful. And though she didn't endorse me, and again, I don't think I asked her. And I think if I asked her, she probably would have because she's wonderful. But no, she was one of the first people who encouraged me when she saw my video and introduced me to different people in the Tampa scene, and which is generally very encouraging. And we definitely want to have her on the podcast at some point in the future.
Yeah, for sure. So grateful for people like that too, who, just are out there supporting good people who want to do good things and maybe aren't like part of the establishment or, are just kind of new to the work in terms of like first-time candidate. So I really appreciate that about her. And I also appreciate her because, as many people know, like when you're on a school board, sunshine laws prohibit you from talking to your other school board members outside of officially noticed meetings. Yeah. But, we can talk to school board members in other counties and it's a great source of support. I know we've mentioned some other wonderful members on this podcast before in Broward County and Sarasota County and also Seminole County, but she's a good one. And I feel like we have each other's backs and it's just great to have that camaraderie.
Well, how did you feel about the food at the party?
Oh, the food was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Italian themed.
Yes.
Which I don't often get excited about, but this food was really good.
I feel like, Italian is not your thing. Okay. So we had this discussion. I'm going to bring it back. So there was a pan of lasagna, a pan of baked ziti, and a pan of meatballs. And I said to you, if we had a party, what would your 3 pans of food be? So I said maybe my answer was maybe it'd be Asian theme and there'd be like kung pao tofu and pad thai and maybe a curry thing. That was my 3 pans. What was the first thing you said for your pans?
My Asian slaw. It is so good. It's like finely chopped cabbage and you've got some edamame and red peppers and I don't even know. And then it has this really good kind of gingery garlic dressing on it. And my cooking is fine. I can get through the day.
Your cooking's wonderful.
My cooking is fine, but my salads are amazing. I make the best, and they're not wimpy, skinny girl salads. They're hearty, good.
No shots at the
crunchy,
skinny girls listening.
Texture, good salads.
Okay. I've had this slaw. It is delicious, but a slaw is not pan worthy. The slaw goes in a bowl and we put something else in the pans.
I don't know. All I really care about is the slaw. So, I mean, if you want to eat something else, that's fine. But I just want the slaw and maybe, you know what was really good last night?
What?
That lemon bundt cake.
I
don't know what was in that, but that was good.
Also, lemon bundt cake doesn't go in a pan. That goes in its own thing. The question...
It's called a cake pedestal, which I have.
Okay.
So don't worry about that. I've got that taken care of.
I put you on a cake pedestal, but for people.
Oh, is it chocolate cake?
like a lemon bun cake.
Okay, that's good too.
No, that was a wonderful party. We had a lot of fun. I think we're going to continue to debate what goes in a pan. I'm curious. Email us, podcastextracurricular@gmail.com. What would go in your 3 pans of food when you're hosting a party? I'm curious to hear what people would put in their pans. And these are big hotel size pans, a lot of food there.
Okay.
You look. If we post this part on video, people are going to be like, "What is wrong with him?"
I know. What do these pants he has in mind? But it's good. Speaking of eating out, okay, so we have a favorite sushi place that we go to pretty much every week. I feel like we try to go.
Yamasan.
Yeah, Yamasan in Mills 50. Shout
Sponsor
out to
us.
Mills 50 District.
Yeah.
Amazing. Love you all. So we went out. So we've been there several times. Went out Friday night, got some sushi, had a glass of wine, and the ginger salad because man, that dressing is so good. And the server brought us separate checks.
That was so weird. Okay, so we sat down. We had a couple glasses of wine. I feel like we have big couple energy, if I may say so. I mean, not in a weird way, but in a we're here together. We're here romantically. And yeah, she brought us separate checks. Well, you made somewhat I don't know if I want to call it accusation, that you may have thought that the waitress took a shine to me, which I very much disagreed with. But I will say the separate checks was bizarre in light of that observation.
I mean, I am going to say that I did pick up your check and see if she wrote her number on the back of it. I was just kind of curious. She did not. She's a professional, but I did check. I have to be honest.
Yeah, no, she did not. She did not write her number. If she had, I would have burned the check. Obviously, would have been.
But would you have paid it first?
No. You paid the first check. And then she picked up the little point of sale device. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Oh, I just realized you only paid one of the checks." So she was very confused. It was a bizarre interaction. And she'd been our server before. Yeah. So which also is we're not memorable. And she only gave us a single check last time. I don't know.
Well, I am normal and boring. So probably.
Should we lodge a complaint with the restaurant?
Well, I don't know. You might want to. You might want to.
Okay. Well, I think maybe it's you who want to do that. Okay. My last food related thing is I just love this content. If anyone follows you on Instagram on your personal account, Stephanos, can I say that?
So yeah, this is just my personal account. And so, I have 3 teenage daughters. And so a regular occurrence in this house is I'll open up the pantry and I'll go to grab, the box of crackers or cookies or something like that. And I'll open the box and there will be nothing in there. Someone actually took the last granola bar out and then put the box back in there empty. Or, I'll go open the refrigerator and there'll be the bag of apples in the drawer, but the bag will be empty. But someone took the care to put the bag back in the drawer without the apples in it. And so I just, I have definitely evolved over the course of being a parent. Mm-hmm. And this might have been something that really maybe bothered me at first. Why wouldn't you just put it away, clean up after yourself, all this. Now I realize, as I said, a mother of 3 teenagers, that you just have to pick your battles as a parent. And so I could either kind of get angry or annoyed, or I could just really find the humor in this. And so I'll record them. I'll have I'll have a video. I'll open up my pantry. I'll put, go down to the snack bin and grab the bag and see that there's no muffins and there's just the empty bag there. So I've been posting these for a while, just as really to entertain myself more than anything else, because that's just kind of where we are in life. And I don't know, people seem to like them. I get the most feedback about these videos.
Well, I feel there's also a contingent of people who are angry.
That's true. That's true. I did take a little break from it because there were a couple of people that were like, "And what's the consequence for leaving an empty box in the pantry? What's the consequence for leaving the empty apple bag?" And it was not meant in a negative way, but it just kind of was a little bristly. And again, I think just as a parent, you truly do have to pick your battles. And if you cannot find the humor in some of the ridiculous things your children do, best of luck to you. You got a long way to go. So.
I feel there are some people in your comments who want to be disciplinarians on your behalf. It's a little worrying. Anything else we want to check in on before we move to move to our conversation?
So we have been watching a show over the course of this week.
We finished it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did actually finish it. It's short. I appreciate that. Oh my gosh, short series. Like they're manageable and I appreciate that. So yeah, it was Adolescence. I thought it was very heavy, but very good. What did you think of it?
I thought it was really great. And just, I want to recognize that this show came out months ago and people are like, oh, they finally watched Adolescence. It's 4 episodes. The premise, if you haven't seen it, definitely recommend, is that a young boy, 13 years old, is accused of a terrible crime and kind of explores what that means for his family. How did we get here, et cetera, et cetera. I thought it was very powerful. And I'm curious what you think in terms of, and maybe if you haven't seen it and you want to watch it, maybe skip ahead 2 minutes to when we start our next discussion, because I want to spoil it a little bit if that's okay. Like, I'm curious your thoughts, and I feel like probably a lot of our viewers have watched it. Is like, the series is really premised upon this awful crime is committed because this young boy is sort of influenced and radicalized by a lot of what he sees online and how that gets reverberated and how social media amplifies it. And what all that means, as opposed to really being a show about a whodunit. So I'm curious what your take on it, like reflecting you as a school board member, what you thought of it in that way.
Oh, that's a good question. I was going to say, first of all, the actors in the show are amazing. They're so good. And I would not say that heavy shows are my favorite.
Yeah.
Like I kind of White Lotus was like, that's not my alley. I just want to laugh and have fun and have fun characters. And
I want to feel terrible. I want to watch shows.
You do. You do like to feel terrible, and I like to feel happy. But yeah, it's interesting. Actually, there is what I immediately thought of is actually Nancy Alvarez from WESH 2 did a story a couple of months ago. I think it was in May. About this, actually, about the impact of social media on our kids. And, it was a really tragic event that happened at a skating rink here in Orlando, where a middle schooler stabbed someone and killed someone. And Nancy interviewed the mother of the girl that died and just shared some really disturbing things about it. She was sharing that as she was in the parking lot holding her daughter, screaming for help, there were middle schoolers, teenage kids around holding their phones, videoing the incident, and no one was getting her help. And honestly, I was not. I watched that clip in my office actually and was crying at my office. It was very, very touching, very moving. And she's actually doing a follow-up piece tomorrow, Monday, July 21st at the Dr. Phillips Center about the same topic. And so I think it just, I think social media is having a tremendous impact on our kids.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we understand the full ramifications of it yet. Because I think it's one thing for adults to see kind of the negative and some positive, but really the negative ways that impacts us. But when you think about a child's brain that's still developing and just how, the comments and the posts and the influencers just really impact the way that they're developing as people and the way their brains are developing is just really disturbing.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. So, and I agree. I mean, you and I have talked about social media and technology, and I think it's just this is not a novel take, especially pernicious for youth. Okay, can I unleash my less serious take now that we've absorbed your very thoughtful, good take about adolescence?
Go for it.
Okay. I think I've had my fill of people crying on camera. I think I can't when I watch someone cry on camera, the acting in the show is very good. But I'm also you're acting, and I love great acting and the crying is well done. But I'm just I don't know. I'm 41 years old. I've seen a lot of people cry on camera. I think it is to me becoming a slightly overused device. And I get it. Someone has been killed and that's an awful thing. But also I don't know. It kind of takes me out of it now when I watch people cry.
Was this the take that you were holding back and not sharing with me so you could share it with me on here?
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
That's interesting. And I'm not surprised because I know you said you really preferred episode 3. You thought episode 3 was your favorite one. And I think that has been...
which is an episode about a psychological like evaluation interrogation where there's I think a tear is shed.
Yeah.
But there's not like hardcore crying. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was a great episode, but I feel I mean, maybe it's just because I don't watch TV except with you. And so I'm not as, I don't know, I guess worn down or, what's the word?
Cynical?
I don't know, just like used to it, I guess, or I don't know, the word is escaping me, but I actually thought the 4th episode for me was the most moving, where the parents are sitting there and they are crying. And it's like, they're trying to wrestle with the fact that their child is a murderer, but he's still their son.
Yeah.
But like, did they do something wrong? Could they have done more? Trying to kind of convince themselves that there's nothing they could have done more, but yet they still feel like they failed him. And I don't know. I just felt like that was really powerful. And the way it was filmed was really powerful. I mean, I could have done without the tears. It's not like the tears made it for me. But just like that, those feelings that they must have felt really, those really hit me.
And I think like if you're like, it makes sense that those characters are going to cry in that moment. Like that is right to that moment. But I don't know. I think like in part because it takes a lot for an actor to cry, like to get to that place is actually really difficult. But also like, I can't help but realize that they're like they're actors because I'm like, oh, that's really difficult for them to do. So it like takes me out of the moment as I'm watching them cry because I'm like, oh, the actor's doing this really good job. But then I'm like, oh, it's the actor.
Wait, so did you have to cry as an actor?
No, I never had to cry as an actor.
Is that why you do improv? So you don't ever have to cry?
Well, it's funny. I should say like I've cried in quotation marks in scenes a lot. Like that has happened, but I've never actually had to like shed tears. Like, you know, because if you're on camera, like the camera is like much closer to your face. So if I'm crying in a scene, then like no one's going to see that no tears are coming out. But if you're crying on camera, people have to see those tears.
Ah, okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It seems hard. See, I don't think about these things.
Well,
that's not my background.
Well, maybe I should just like watch fun things instead.
See, let's do it. I like it.
All right. Well, speaking of let's do it, let's get into your mid-season member Vanos check-in. All right. So tell us where you're at. Like you were sworn in November. So how far along does that put us?
So I kind of feel like I actually started in January. So that's where, let's see, 6, like, so about 7 months or so in, 7 to 8 months in, depending on where you calculate it from. So about that much in. And I think my number one takeaway is I still have so much to learn. You just realize how much it takes to run a school district this big. And just as a reminder, Orange County Public Schools is the 8th largest school district in the nation. So big. And so, so I'm always learning, and I think I always will be learning. So that's like number one takeaway. Well,
all right. That was a beautiful sentiment. And I know it is also a very true sentiment. But I'm here on behalf of the listeners. I want to dig in. I want to get like the hardcore, the juicy stuff. And I think like there's still so much for me to learn. Perfect. I love it. And it's true. And speaks to your humility. But like give us some things like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. Like, what is something else that you have learned that you feel like you understand now as a school board member, now as an elected official that maybe you didn't understand when you were running, or you were like, hey, I want to do this. I can do this.
Yeah, I think probably it's it's a combination of the sort of like division of jobs within a school district, right? Like, a school board member's job, again, is to, write policy, kind of be in charge of policy and to oversee the budget and to hire and fire the superintendent. That's kind of what's kind of outlined. But, I also know just from talking to former school board members and just like being an engaged person, knowing that a part of their job too is it's advocating on behalf of public schools and their schools in particular. It's about connecting people who have, issues or concerns or problems at a school and helping them solve the problem, because this is like the really big thing that I learned. There is so much bureaucracy within a big organization. And I don't think it has anything necessarily to do with being a school district. I think it's just an organization. And that has been by far the thing I've hated the most.
Yeah.
And the thing I just didn't quite realize was as monstrous. And not to say like monstrous meaning, oh, there's like too many people, or, you know, it's
Or there's an actual monster.
or there's an actual monster. There's no monsters in the closet. It's just that the way it's shaped is a bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you know, my background is in law, and so working at a law firm is just so much different. It's when you're working in a law firm, you're like, you can ask anyone a question. You're asking the person the question who has like the best access and who can answer the question. Whereas I feel like it's a little bit more, you know, you communicate through certain people, and, you know, they oversee this many people, and there's just like this whole hierarchy. And it's hard for me I know that that's the way it works.
Yeah.
But and I need to respect it to do my job. But like personally, it's like hard for me to respect it.
You've been a part of a lot of things, and I know because we talk obviously a lot, as one would hope. You're proud of a lot of the work that you've already done. Like, what's something that you've been able to accomplish or you've been a part of that you feel like, okay, first 6 months, really proud I got to do this or work on this? What is it?
I think, you know, it's funny. Like the things that come to mind are really just, they're a problem that someone had and they email me. This probably isn't an exciting podcast answer, but it's a problem that someone has in their school or a question they have and they can't find the right answer. They don't know who to go to. And like, I can help them solve the problem immediately or pretty close to immediately, because, you know, because I'm new, what I really think back to is just being a parent myself, and, you know, or being an advocate myself and kind of being outside. And like, one of the most frustrating things is just like, how do you find the right person to answer this question, or how do you get this done? And so when someone, you know, emails me or calls me and they're like, I can't find this. Like, I mean, it's been, you know, like a foreign exchange student who, you know, moved families, and now like the new school wasn't letting him in, and he'd been sitting home from school for a week, and just to like help them solve that problem, get him back into school. Or, you know, maybe it's a mom who called because she realized that there was this bus stop that was a really dangerous intersection, and we just like needed to move the bus stop a block or two to make it safer for the kids. But it's like, she didn't know who to go to make that happen, and I could help her connect to, you know, get that done. You know, or someone who's just, you know, having an issue with, you know, a class or with something that's happening at the school, just helping to connect them to like solve their problem. You know, there was someone who actually called me. She needed a transcript. She was a graduate of school, needed a transcript, and like couldn't. You know, how do we make that happen? And so it's like little everyday problems that to another person might not seem like a big deal, but to the person that is experiencing the problem, it's like, you know, it's a big deal to them. And just recognizing that it is a big deal to them, and okay, like, how can I help you get this through? And so I think that is one of the things that I am proud of. I think the second thing is, again, being someone who paid attention and was engaged. I always wish that there was like more direct communication with parents and with people. And so I try to provide that. And I have to accept that done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have to run through all of the mantras in my mind, you know, that we don't have time to be perfect here. And so it doesn't have to be a perfect video. It doesn't have to be a perfect post, but I just want to convey information to people. And that's something I'm proud of, that I feel like I've done. I always want to do more of, but I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that. So like those two things come to mind. I think the third thing is, you know, with the funding this year for the advanced studies courses. And I know that there were a couple of us right at the beginning that like jumped on that and said, okay, we need to get parents together. We need to advocate. We need to push. We need to make sure our lawmakers know that, you know, across party lines, like parents want these classes in our schools and they need to be funded. And, you know, it ended up that the funding wasn't cut, even though it was on the chopping block. And I'm really proud of the students and parents and teachers and educators that, you know, that all chipped in to make that happen. And so again, it was certainly not the only person, but I was, you know, one of the people at the beginning who helped to organize that. And so that, I would say those are three things I'm really proud of.
Oh, well, I was very proud of you for that last part, especially. I mean, and those first two are very much like, when I think about elected officials, like constituent services, you know, there's, you know, when you think of like a lawmaker, you know, passing, like they're up there, like whether it's Tallahassee or Washington, you know, up there, like hopefully to pass laws, though in Florida, that's usually a bad thing. And like lately federally also a bad thing. But like the work you can do for the people whom you serve must be very gratifying. So I can imagine that. But yeah, I mean, I loved getting to watch that funding fight and getting to see people respond to your advocacy. I mean, it's terrible that you had to fight for that, to, fight for just these funds to not get cut. But the fact that you could be a voice and could be a leader at the onset of that. And, it takes a village. And certainly there was a large village that helped save that. But for you to be a leader in that was really amazing to watch, and so proud of you for doing that.
Oh, actually, I thought of one more thing that
Sure.
I was actually really gratifying was, I mean, it was a terrible circumstance, but back in January when the executive order was issued where basically churches and hospitals and schools were no longer, places of worship were no longer safe for immigrants in terms of, ICE, ICE could now go into those protected areas. That was like another really tough kind of stressful time, but I am proud of the way that like our board and our general counsel worked together and our superintendent worked together to, I think, craft a clear, easy to follow policy that did comply with the law, but also made sure that the people coming in to talk to our kids or talk to our families were also complying with the law and holding them accountable too, and really crafting a policy that I think was used in many other districts. So that was another thing that I'm proud of.
Oh, that's great. Can we cut this together for like whenever you're up for re-election? It's
oh
just
my God, I cannot even think about that. I just want to do my job. Like, running is just the worst.
Okay. All right. So we talked about, because we just talked about, what was really satisfying. We talked about the bureaucracy, and because I want to ask, like, what has been tough, what has been the most challenging. We talked about the bureaucracy. What else? I have something in mind, but like, what else has been really frustrating about this job?
I mean, I think, and this was not surprising to me, but it's the culture of fear, culture of fear that our schools are operating in right now. And it's from all the way down to our teachers and our administrators, all the way over to, people working at the district level, to leadership throughout, to cabinet members, to school board members. I don't think it's really escaping anyone. I think that we are honestly all working in truly a culture of fear. And it is a place where people are afraid to speak out and they're afraid to just sometimes have a different opinion, to, speak out and just share a different opinion or different perspective, because there's this fear that, the state might cut our funding if we do this, or if we step out of line here, we might not get this, we might not get this grant, we might not get this allocation, we might not get, this, or they might show up and start, being in our business all the time, and that has permeated, from what I can personally see, to every level of our school. And so I think it's really sad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was exactly what I was going to bring up. And that's something Chris talked about when we talked to Chris Mitchell about how many other elected officials in the state are living in that culture of fear. And of course, it's all very intentional, and really disgusting. Okay. What do you feel like now that you didn't know before? And I know kind of that was a little part of the first question, but more specifically, what do you know now that you didn't know before?
I think, and I'm still figuring this piece out. I think one of the things, I remember this past legislative session going into one of our local lawmakers' offices up in Tallahassee. And she said and we were, kind of talking about school stuff, kind of talking about legislation. And she said, you have power. Like, you have power as an elected school board member, and you should use it.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because, it was, you run for office and you do look at people as like, oh, they have sort of a position where they can make things happen. But there's also like, but it's just me. And like, I don't have any power, and hearing her say that was just, I don't know, it was eye-opening. And I'm still kind of like rolling that around. Because one thing that has been really weird for me, and someone said, what's the weirdest thing about being on the school board or being elected to the school board? And I said, is that no one calls me Stephanie. It's like people call me Member Vanos. And it just seems so formal and kind of weird. And I always want to be like, just call me Stephanie.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. But I think it's this combination of realizing that individually you're part of a board. So any individual board member can't really do a lot or pass policy or, do that on their own. But it's like the board works together. But also like within your community, you do have power in the sense that, people will sometimes listen to you. And just like how you use that in a way that can help your students and help your constituents and help your community and help your schools. I'm still like working through that and figuring that out.
Okay. That's kind of been, the first, your first 6 months. What do you feel like you're going to be focused on? And I want to do a deeper dive on this on a future episode, but just kind of like, in a more concise way, what do you think you want to be focused on this next for the rest of 2025?
Yeah, I think one of the things is really focused on budget and really understanding, where money is being spent, how it's being spent, and just getting a better idea of how to better determine like where investments should be made and how we move money to where it makes the most sense to spend it. So it's kind of like a long answer, but I think like really just digging into budget and finance and really just educating myself on education finance. I'm actually going to be taking a course in the fall just related to this topic. So that's something I really want to dig into. And then I think from just like
this like a masterclass course you found on Instagram?
No, it's not a masterclass. This is like a legitimate course. It's actually going to take a lot of time personally, but
well, you don't have to yell at me.
And then I think, I always say middle schools have my heart. I just love middle school age. They're so difficult, but they're so amazing. And our middle schools, I think, are struggling everywhere. I don't think it's really just like a public-private thing. Yeah. I think middle schools are just tough, and I just want to get a better grip on that.
I hated middle school so much.
Middle school wasn't great. It just wasn't. But I think a piece of that, too, is like, what can we do to make schools a place that students want to be? That's really just something I really want to dig into this year. So it's, getting my student groups together, and it's really thinking through, like, how do we make schools a place where people want to be? And I'm not a teacher. I've not had that experience as a teacher. So for me, I understand obviously academic student achievement, mastery of skills. And I really actually want to say it that way. Mastery of skills and knowledge is, the critical piece of school, but it's not the only piece of school. And so for me, a lot of it is like wanting to focus on how can we encourage like great extracurricular programs and how
Thank you for mentioning the pod.
Dang, that was good. You were like on that. And extracurricular podcast. And, whether it's incentivizing teachers who kind of take on that or bringing in more programs for really high quality programs for our students, what is it that they're looking for to be engaged in school? Like, I don't think the answer is like AI, what I mean? I think it's like what sorts of, I'm not saying that that's like a never, I'm just saying that's not never the answer. It's, how can we like build culture, engage students, build relevancy? And that's something, honestly, I'm going to be turning to students and asking them because they're in the best position to help me.
I love that. What do you want parents to be focused on for the coming school year?
I think for parents, I think it's really just supporting students. And I think one thing would just be emphasizing how important it is to actually be in school. I think since COVID, that piece is a little lax. Yeah. There's that piece where people don't think it is as important for their child to be in school because a lot of it is available online or on Canvas or whatever. But I think there are a lot of benefits and reasons to have our students in school as often as possible. No, don't come to school if you're puking because I just don't want that in my house. So please don't come and infect my kids. I mean, don't. So what I'm trying to say is like, don't come to school if you're sick. Like that's legitimate. But I just think if parents, that to have their students in school is really important. And I think like if that was one thing, it would be that.
Oh, I love that. Are there any parents you want to name in particular?
I'm not calling anybody out.
I love doing that to you.
I know you. Well, you do.
I'm a little bit of.
Is there anyone you want to call out?
Yes, actually, but we don't have enough time on this podcast to call them out. Okay, here's my actual final question. This will be interesting because it's going to be hard for you not to be tough on yourself, but because I know you, how would you grade yourself for your first 6 months?
Oh, I don't like that because I just took a class at a PLC conference this past week on grading and how the grading system is really, honestly, kind of messed up, and we should think about it in a different way. I would say that I have not mastered all of the skills that I want to learn yet, but I feel like I'm learning, and I feel like I'm learning fairly quickly. Sometimes I have to ask questions a couple of times before they sink into my brain, but I think I'm on my way, to understanding a lot of parts of it. I think one thing that I want to, my first kind of 6 months or 7 months, really 6 months in school was really focused on getting to my schools, getting to know leadership at the schools, and just kind of following up on my conversations with the teachers that I know, hearing what's kind of happening. And I think now as we go into this new school year, it's really going to be for me, I have a couple of goals. One is to, again, form my student groups so that I can have a better understanding of what students are experiencing and looking for. And then also just to communicate more information about the budget and how our schools are funded, because I think a lot of people don't understand. And I think it is really, really important to understand that. I'll make it fun. It'll be like a fun budget workshop,
Wait, can I come?
You can, yeah, anyone can come. I do want to do.
Well, I'm not anyone. I'm your
halls.
Podcast co-host and partner.
You can come to every single one. Hey, could you video them?
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't.
Wait, maybe we do a podcast at one. Like, tell us your number one budget question about funding public schools.
People ask me to help with video stuff, which I'm happy to help with, but I feel like we talked about this. Like, people have asked me about like helping to like set up a podcast or film it, which I'm like, again, happy to help people. But you were pointing out that like no one asks you to help like with any of their technical podcast stuff, even though you are a co-host of a podcast.
Well, how does that make you feel?
Well, I mean, I'm like, there's more to me than my technical know-how,
Well, there absolutely is more to your technical. But what I think is funny is that they look at the two of us and they're like, we know the person who understands this process and we know which person doesn't understand this process at all. And clearly I'm the one who's like, that lady doesn't know anything about podcasting.
It does feel a bit gendered, don't you think?
I don't know. Is podcasting mostly men? I guess it is. Right? I don't know. I mean, I feel like you all like before this. I mean, I occasionally listen to some news podcasts, but my go-to podcasts were actually running podcasts, and they were like, male and female,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I feel like the joke has been like, we need to get podcast mics out of the hands of white men. This was before like people decided that we needed the left's Joe Rogan. But yeah, it's like every white man has a podcast, and now I'm one of them.
Are you one of them?
I'm a white man with a podcast.
Okay, I guess you're one of them.
Well, if you need help with your podcast, email us, podcast extracurricular,
and one of us can help you.
One of us will open that inbox, and one of us will help. They may or may not be the exact same person.
But if you do have a question about schools or you need some answers, then you can come to the other one of us.
Steph's like, just DM me on Instagram.
Well, don't DM me on Instagram because actually I don't read those, but you can send an email to my work account. So just so you know, DMing, I don't really look at it.
I feel like we have like the most confusing flow chart to get in touch with us.
Yeah.
Just DM us on extracurricular_podcast on Instagram. So yeah, I mean, this has been a great conversation.
I just have a question for you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so I feel like as someone who maybe wasn't as engaged with public schools,
I've never been engaged, to be clear.
Thank you for that information. As someone who wasn't like maybe paying as much attention, that was actually very good.
Thank you.
What now that you hear me all the time, like talking to, and you kind of see what's happening, and you're at many school board meetings. Like, what's your take?
I mean, obviously I ran for office and education was something that I did talk about, but I can't pretend that I was nearly as like informed or engaged as I am now. And I understand never having had kids or been engaged. I just didn't have we all have a stake in public education, but had never been as locked into the system in the way that I am now, now that we're together. And so I understand the like absolute passion that I don't think I really understood before about why, because to me, if you asked me when I was running for office, the biggest issues to me were like protecting our democracy, climate change, universal health care. I wouldn't have put public education at the top. And I think now I probably would. And I understand that this is, Chris said it in our last podcast, like, this is our future. Like, this is a bedrock of our society. Like, what other institutions do we have in which we give everyone access to this public good where you can just come in and be a part of it? And not only that, like, we're teaching you how to interpret the world, how to read and write and do math and be a human being. And this is where all your social interactions happen. It's just so important. And I think I understand in ways that I didn't before, like all the ways it can go wrong, all the ways it is trying to be corrupted and monetized. And it's maddening. Like, I understand that when people are like, let's give taxpayer funded vouchers and just take money from public schools, it's like, it's enraging. Like, this is going back, it's like, this is our public good, and the fact that people, have been doing this for decades, but like trying to destroy it and break it down and delegitimize it is so maddening. And it's like, get your fucking hands off my public school, and so it just makes me that much more engaged in the fight. And I know you sometimes, we'll be talking after a work day, you'll be like, I'm so sorry I'm talking about this. And I'll be like, no, like, I am so interested in this. Every bit of minutia of this, I think is fascinating and so important that we get right. And I know I've monologued previously about AI. I keep talking about it because it's like, I think this is such a huge way that we are going to further, hurt our kids if this is allowed to be allowed to overrun our schools and be unchecked. And the fact that it is like being embraced in so many ways that I think aren't forward thinking really, again, enrages me. I have a lot of anger. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I do have a lot of anger.
Well, you're normally very breezy.
So breezy, but you get me talking about something I'm passionate about. So, which is all to say that experiencing education and the school board through you has been so enlightening, and so has definitely brought me into the fold of why people are so passionate about public education in a way that I didn't understand before, and so happy to understand now. I'm not so happy because there's a lot of things going wrong, but I'm happy to care more about it. So,
well, and I'm realizing one thing that we're going to need to do in the next year is I'm going to need to take you to the schools so that you can see all the amazing things they are doing. Aww. Because there are a lot of really, really great things happening in our schools that they do so much with such little funding, and it truly is driven by just the giving hearts truly of our teachers and our administrators, and so there's just some really cool things that are happening. And I think that's why these funding cuts are so enraging. Yeah, because we can see what we can do with so little but how much better we could make it with the proper funding. And I think that is enraging. You know? Or maybe with a few fewer levels of bureaucracy. Do
you want to name names in the bureaucracy?
Not yet.
Okay. I love that. I will take you up on that on going to schools. Will they let me in?
Well, it just means we could go, the performances. I feel like there are performances that you would love to see, or just even sporting events, or there's some really cool culinary competitions. And
do I get to eat the food?
Yeah, you definitely get to eat the food. Okay. That's part of it. So,
okay.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Absolutely. All right. Well, I don't know if I'm ready to be happy again, but I'll give it a shot.
Okay. Well, let me know.
All right. Well, this has been enlightening. We're going to do this again, probably in 6 months. And like I said, I want to talk more about what your vision is for this next school year, probably around the time school starts, maybe in the next month or so. But thank you so much, as always, for being a willing participant on this podcast. You did fabulous.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for setting up. We have all these fancy cameras. I'm realizing now as I'm slouching over my microphone that it's probably the worst. But thank you for highlighting all of the, just all the things that are happening in public education. Let's chat.
Oh, of course. Well, thank you all for listening. It's been lovely. And we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.